This is Anthony with True Diamond Heart, continuing our video series, Wake Up and Live. The first awakening practice and the final and actually continuous awakening process that if we haven't started, we're going to introduce ourselves to here, and we're going to deepen if it's already part of our practice, is called mindfulness. Mindfulness is an Eastern word for paying attention. Simply, mindfully, consciously deciding to pay attention. Now, we're always paying our attention, right? Attention is a currency. We pay, that's why it's called paying attention. We pay our vital energy, our focus, and our time on whatever's happening within our thoughts and our feelings. Normally, we're paying attention most of the time without being conscious. Sometimes we're conscious when we're doing work, but even so, we find our attention and our focus wandering. So when it comes to our emotional, spiritual, psychological lives, it's almost all unconscious, asleep in the sense that we don't know what we're thinking and feeling. We're simply thinking and feeling, assuming that the thoughts and feelings are our ultimate reality. Mindfulness is the process of stepping back and witnessing, stepping back and watching, stepping back and observing. For example, at this moment, I put my hands together. I'm conscious that I put my hands together. Something in me knows that I did that. Now, your mind will jump in and say, well, of course I know that I did that. But as you take as an experiment now, put your hands together. Now, take your hands apart. Now, as you put them together this time, pay attention to the process of putting them together. Just pay attention. Notice the difference. There's a difference between snapping my fingers and knowing I'm snapping my fingers. There you go. So, the process and the practice of mindfulness is the practice and the process of paying attention to what's happening in especially in your inner world, of course in your outer world as well. Absolutely. The two go hand in hand. But we have some sense of paying attention as we cross the street. Otherwise, we wouldn't still be alive. We would have been hit by a car or a bus. We would have burned the house down or whatever it is. So we have some sense of paying attention when it comes to things like work and crossing the street, maybe driving our cars, even though that becomes so automatic, we get into accidents, right? Automatic. Automaticness is unconsciousness. Now, of course, there's certain automatic things that, let's just let that go for now. To be mindful is to watch what's happening, especially within thoughts and feelings, and without circumstances and other people. Impersonally. We watch them as an observer might watch something that they're interested enough to watch, but not obsessed with. And we watch with the focus that is a divine ability to pay attention to one thing at a time. Now, it seems like there's so many things happening, but you'll find that within you, they're happening overlapping. There's 50 things happening, but there's only ever really one thing happening at a time. There may be things happening outside of you, many, many things at one time. But within, it's a thought of sadness. It's a thought of I have to get the dog. It's a thought of I have to water the plants. It's a thought of all these thoughts. And they crowd on each other, and they seem like they're happening on top of each other. In some ways they kind of are, but really mostly. If you start paying attention to the process, it will also slow down, and you'll start to notice what is really happening within. Now, as you watch your inner world, for example, your thinking, you find that what comes up is food. I'm going to eat soon. Now the food comes up and I think, oh, I don't like what I'm going to eat. Now you notice that you thought about food, that you thought that you're not going to like what you're going to have. Let's get a little bit more engaging. You feel, what is your constellations of feelings that torture you and thoughts? Is it envy? Is it anger? Is it regret? Is it fear? Is it worry, anxiety, combinations of these things? So let's pick one. You feel envious. Perhaps that's not your thing, or I feel envious. Let's put it that way. For example, I might feel envious. So I'm walking down and I go, wow, that guy's got a really nice car. What a great car. He doesn't deserve that. I should have that car. I'm going to work harder than him. And I'm thinking this, and then I go about my business. And this is just part of what's torturing me because I'm asleep and I didn't even know that I thought it. I said, now if someone said to you, did you think that? I said, of course I did. Did you know you thought that? Of course I knew. But I didn't at the time. It just happened, and I felt this envy, and I was envy because I didn't know there was anything else but envy for that moment. And I had it in my feelings, my body, and in my thoughts. Now, to be mindful is to feel the envy. Come on, you can come. You can come here, sweetie. Come on. You can come. Come on. It's okay. There you go. To be mindful of the envy in that moment would be, the envy comes up. I see the guy driving in the car that I think he doesn't deserve and that I should have. And I feel the envy and I notice the envy. So there's envy. And then because I'm starting to become mindful, I'm almost definitely going to judge it and say, because I'm on this spiritual path, and there are good things, which is peace and love and sharing, and bad things, which are envy and jealousy. Judgment. I start to judge and I say, oh, I shouldn't be envious. That's something else to just watch. True mindfulness watches what's happening dispassionately and impersonally. This means without judging, right? It's not good or bad, it just is. You just watch it. Then you don't have to defend yourself, or you can see the truth, because there's nothing good or bad about it. You just see what's happening. Without explanation, there's no story around it. Well, it's because he doesn't work as hard as I am, and so forth. Without judging, without explaining, without pushing it down and negating, say, well, I'm not really envious, or envy is bad, I'm not going to be envious, pushing it down and denying it, more lying. And without projecting it and say, well, I'm envious because he did this to me yesterday, or because my mother trained me that way when I was 4 years old. Just, it's here, taking responsibility. We'll get to responsibility in the future videos. Crucial to the awakening process. But we simply watch what's happening within, especially, and without judging, without explaining, without negating, meaning pushing down or sublimating, and without projecting it on other circumstances or people. Simply practice this as you walk through your day. It's almost always safe to do so. If it's not, there's an emergency or something that needs to be taken care of on that level, you spring into action carefully. But you can be mindful all the time. Eventually be able to be mindful in emergencies. You'll find yourself much more effective, much more calm and peaceful. And this mindfulness, the paying attention dispassionately to what's happening within and without, is actually light. It will of itself heal you of addictions. It will of itself heal your relationships. It will of itself bring you ease, peace, joy, beauty. You will be of service. You will be able to respond rather than reactive, which is just an automatic response to things. An automatic reaction to things. You'll be able to respond, response-able, and your life will improve drastically. And your ability to appreciate who you really are, we'll get to that later as well, will be incredible. Practice mindfulness. There are a lot of videos on the YouTube channel, a True Diamond Heart YouTube channel on mindfulness. And there are in the world, you can find them if you don't look for them there. Mindfulness. Start to practice it. It will transform your life. It is the light of awakening that brings you into the state that you crave to live in. Stay with us. We're just beginning.